Most High in Christ. SHALAM, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, come out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yahanna. Since 1969, we've been teaching so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians our true identity according to the Bible, which is the 12 tribes of Israel. You understand, the Lord's chosen people, and that our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Today is the Monday night history class for I.S.U.P.K Indianapolis. You understand? We're going to be continuing where we left off last week, which we went over. We were going over the book of Exodus. We was having a couple of technical difficulties last week, so if you didn't catch it live, of course, always show up to class in person. We got a school at 3532 North Keystone Avenue, right here in Indianapolis, Indiana. If you have any questions online, ask. Go ahead and type it in the comment section. I'll answer to the best of my abilities, and if I can't do so, then I'll get with a man above me that can do so. All right. Slovakia. All right. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 2, and verse 13. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together, and he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? So due to the technical difficulties that we was having last week, we discovered that how it is the Egyptians was oppressing the Israelites, or the 12 tribes of Israel. And we also went over how it is that Moses knew that he was an Israelite or a Hebrew, you understand, and how he sought to protect his brother by murdering that stinking Hamite that was going to kill his brother, you understand. And after he ended up slaying that Hamite, you understand, he goes out the next day and he sees 2 brothers, striving against each other. And Moses is going up to him and asking the one that did the wrong, you understand, the one that caused the offense, you understand, asking him, why is it that he's, why are you trying to attack or kill your brother? Verse 14, and he said, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? And that's exactly how our people are today. When the I.S.U.P.K comes in and tries to solve problems, and really I can't even say our people, because for the most part, our people, when we go in and we try to resolve issues and we try to stop the violence that's going on within our communities, you understand, like our people, they'll accept it. They'll hear the judgment it is that the priests and prophets in the school have, or that they pass on the situation after they've gotten the conclusion of the whole matter from both parties, and they pass their judgment, you understand? Like Israel be accepting of it. But when it comes to you cowards who have left the I.S.U.P.K, you understand that those are the ones at the top asking, who are we to judge the nation? You understand? Who are we to stop the violence within our communities? You understand? Who are we to make sure that we treat brothers and sisters how it is that Christ told us to treat one another? You understand? Because in reality, them brothers and sisters, they have no love at all for blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. And especially them Christian pastors, you know what I'm saying? Because, of course, they're one and the same. They all love our oppressor. They all serve, you understand, white supremacy. Like, if we have someone in our communities who will talk down on the only organization, the only school, the only men who are trying to teach the slaves of America, you understand, to better themselves and to not be what it is that America has promoted us as being and what America has pushed us into being. If there's anyone that talks or that goes against them brothers or against that school, like us as a nation, we should really learn to cut them off, you understand? To treat them as if they are a heathen, as if they're another nation, and you understand, banish them from out of our communities. Because after 400 years of oppression, like how can you not exalt the people who are trying to heal the community? How can you not exalt them above everybody else that has failed out here? You understand? Every other organization that has failed, or you know, religious group that has failed our people, and not only failed us but have led us astray, who have contributed to our destruction. Like you can't make any kind of comparison, and you can't, you know, you just can't let, like, you just can't let it fly. I mean, it's just like that. Like no other nation would let something like that happen. Like if there is an organization or a religious group that will go out of their way to destroy their people, another nation is going to make sure that they do everything in their power in order to get them out of their communities. You know, do everything in their power to make sure that no other member of their nation supports them, because they either promote a destructive lifestyle. They either promote a destructive lifestyle to those people, or they lead them astray in some kind of way that will cause for them to harm their nation. Like no other nation does what we've been doing for 400 years with Christianity, you know, with being Muslims, Buddhists, what else is out there? Just what, you know, just all the other gods it is that we have followed throughout the years. Like no other nation does that except for the Lord's chosen people. You understand? Because we have no identity. And on top of that, we have nobody to lead us, to show us who it is that we really are. You understand? Albeit through, of course, doing research, through history, you know, archaeology, looking to see what our culture was before slavery and all of that. You understand? But the I.S.U.P.K, I mean, we've been doing it since 1969. Intendest thou to kill me as thou killedest the Egyptian? And like it's not funny, but it really is, because when you tell Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians that we have to stop getting high, or tell brothers that they gotta stop making whores out of sisters, or sisters they gotta stop being whores and getting abortions, you understand, that you can't be an alcoholic anymore. Like when you're told that you can't live the lifestyle that we've lived for so long, that has been proven to lead to our deaths, like our people will sit there and say that we're trying to kill them. You understand? They'll say that we're, you know, really a bunch of murderers and killers, and we want to oppress Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, which I don't understand how, when wanting to uplift your people and taking the actions to uplift your people, I don't understand how that can become oppressive. Like Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians are the only ones that will come against a group of their people who promote a positive lifestyle within the community. Like, we're the only ones. Nobody else does that. Nobody, like, you don't see, even though the Dalai Lama was just caught having a little boy suck on his tongue on video, along with, pictures, you understand? Like, even with that, you don't see the Asians, going against the religion that he promotes and going against his title and what it is that he represents, even though he clearly promotes a destructive lifestyle amongst his people. You understand? So I don't know if you're aware or not, but being a pedophile, that's pretty destructive to the nation. You understand? It's pretty destructive to the community. You understand? It's like you. And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. And because this simple brother, instead of him accepting the judgment of Moses, and instead of him thanking Moses for showing him that he can be different from what it is that the Egyptians have made him into. You understand? Because he hated Moses for showing him that he doesn't have to murder his brother for whatever offense it is that may have been caused. You understand? Because of that, because he couldn't accept the righteous judgment that the Lord, you understand, really, from the spirit it is that the Lord put on to Moses, because he couldn't accept that, and because he had to bring up how even though Moses killed an Egyptian, you understand, which he shouldn't have, and instead of that brother taking that and recognizing that Moses was down for his people, and instead he wants to, basically just talk mess to Moses, you understand, asking him if he's going to kill him, just like he did the Egyptian, you understand, which, of course, Moses thought that this brother would, snitched, you understand, because, that's a tendency it is that blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians tend to have, especially when we follow after our oppressor. You understand? We like to talk like we don't snitch in the black and Latino community. You understand? What do they say? Snitches get stitches. You understand? Or they say it's against a code, or just whatever philosophy it is we want to come up with behind snitching. When in reality, like, we got all that from our oppressor. And what is he known for? For snitching. You understand? For ratting out one of his people, which started with, the mob. You understand? They supposedly had their diehard code, you understand, that they was all down for, they was ready to die for, kill for, slightly murder for, torture for, just do whatever it is they had to uphold their code, but yet they managed to turn on it. You understand? So if the devil was going to turn on it, I don't understand why we think, we're above that. Like, that's the lifestyle it is that we get from them. But sadly, Moses should have had to fear, what it is that he had done for that brother that was being oppressed by the Egyptian, by that Hamite. Like, he shouldn't have had to fear it. And when I say that, I don't mean it's something that shouldn't be on your conscience. You understand? Like, when you murder, you should fear the judgment that'll come from the Lord. But Moses feared what the Egyptians would do to him. You understand? If they found out that he ended up murdering that other Egyptian. Because we already know when there's any kind of crime committed against a heathen, their nation will rally behind them, and they will get a judgment that is righteous in their eyes for their fallen brother or sister. You understand? But yet, we want to follow everything the heathens do, but we don't want to follow that. when they back their own, you understand, we see that, we talk about how wonderful it is, how great it is, yet when one of ours is murdered, when one of ours is wrongfully convicted, or when one of ours comes up missing, is raped or beaten, you understand, when there's any kind of injustice done against us, we don't ever want to back our own. You understand? All we're worried about is, as long as it's not affecting me and mine, shoot, it's all cool. It's forgiven. You know, God forgives them, so do I. When that's not the mentality it is that we should have as a nation. It's like verse 15. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses, but Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. You know what I'm saying? Like I just said, whenever another nation hears of how there's been an injustice against one of their people, you understand, they'll back them up. They'll go to defend them and make sure that there's some kind of justice for their fallen brother or sister. So like, hell, nowadays it doesn't even have to be a real wrongdoing to someone of a heathen nation. You understand? Like, a heathen can go out and murder a black, Latino, Native Indian, get incarcerated, and their nation is going to be behind them and demand their freedom. Is that not what the Asians did? Is that not what our oppressor does whenever a police officer is I don't like not even convicted, but just being held? You know what I'm saying? Just awaiting trial. Does not our oppressor rally behind his brother or sister that murdered a black, Latino, or Native Indian and demand their freedom? Does he not make petitions and sign all kinds of papers and have marches and protests and get on news channels and talk about it? Like, heathens, they'll back their own even when they're in the wrong. It's like, you know what I'm saying? But even, like, they'll do that, but yet when we've been, victimized, like, we can't even stand up for our own people. Like, that's why it is that the Lord had to put the I.S.U.P.K here, because without this organization, nobody would be standing up for blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. Nobody would be speaking about the crimes that have been committed. Nobody would be looking to heal our communities as this organization. Sisters, stop being whores. Like, brothers, they love whores. Sisters, when they're whores, they get all the attention it is that they want. You understand? Like, nobody is going to tell our people to stop being drug addicts. You get rich off of being a drug addict, at least in our eyes. You understand? Until that brother or sister gets busted, you understand? But when it's like being a drug dealer. You get rich from being a drug dealer. No matter how many families it is that you have to destroy. You understand? Like, you can make enough money to feed your family by kicking in doors of brothers and sisters and taking what little scraps it is that they've earned from their slavery. Like this is a job it is that the Christian church should have been doing. Like they have truly neglected their duties to the children of Israel. You understand? In showing us the truth of these scriptures right here. And instead, they've decided to show us the doctrines of our oppressor. You understand? The doctrine of white supremacy. You understand? A doctrine that cannot be found anywhere in these scriptures right here. When in reality, what's in these scriptures, not only is it what the I.S.U.P.K in 1969, but also it goes completely against what it is that Christianity has been teaching since the slave plantations and since we've gotten off the plantations. You understand? That's what Christianity teaches. It teaches our people how to be homeborn slaves, how to be servants to this wicked beast that has ruled over us for so long. And as long as we continue to follow Christianity and their doctrine, their philosophy, and all that nonsense, as long as we continue to follow that, then we will continue to be slaves. That's why COVID was such a beautiful thing. When it shut down all them Christian churches, not only shut them down because people didn't want to get COVID, but blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, they seen how the Lord was not with the Christian or Catholic church, and how really the Lord was against it, because all those brothers and sisters that was in there paying their tithes, you understand, when they was in there, giving, whatever little bit it is that they had to that pastor, because they believed they'd get a blessing for God. After all those years, they ended up getting COVID and dying. You understand? Ended up sleeping with their fathers. And of course, if my grandmother has spent the past 50, 60 years giving money to your church, supposedly getting blessings, and then, is taken by the Lord during the first week of COVID, you understand, the first year of COVID, and the Lord is not with you, and I'm going to leave you. Like that was the mindset of brothers and sisters, and rightfully so. But what brothers and sisters didn't do is they didn't look at how the I.S.U.P.K was untouched by COVID. And when I say untouched, I mean none of us died from COVID. You understand? The Lord didn't claim any of us with COVID-19. You understand? We were protected in here because we serve the Lord, because we keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, because we recognize who it is that we are as a nation. Verse 16. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. 17. And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. And of course, that's very simple. You understand? When Moses seen what was being done to these women, he did what any brother in the I.S.U.P.K would do for any sister. You understand? He stood up for them, and not just by not in a passive way. You understand? Not in a comforting way to try to get in their pants. You understand? Like Moses, he was ready to go to war. You understand? Ready to fight the adversaries that stood before him. Which of course, that's how we were raised in the I.S.U.P.K. is we're ready to go to war at all times. Like, brothers war. They go out to eat, go on a date with their wife. They're ready for war. No matter what it is that we do, like we're ready at all times. And of course not just it's not just something that's physical. You understand? Like it's spiritual as well, as we always say in any classes that you watch throughout the different schools, and across the United States and South America and the islands, the UK, like you have to be able to come against all of these different tools it is that our oppressor will try to use in order to to slay that masculine spirit in you if you're a brother. You know what I'm saying? In order to not only slay that masculine spirit in you, but as well is that righteous spirit. You understand? Slay the spirit of the Lord that is on you. You understand? Or the Holy Spirit. Like, and it really, it's crazy because even in the world, like, we understand how it is that we're at a spiritual war in this country and really in this earth. Like that's why, you know, so many of us seek different gods of other nations, you know, just trying to find some way to reinforce ourselves spiritually, even if we have to go to another nation for it. It's like you. Like we really understand these things. It's just that we don't know how to combat it. Like we don't know what it is that we should do in order to not conform to the ways of the world, right? And that's really something we're gonna have to learn, and we should have already have learned it if the Christian church was doing their jobs. But this is something we're gonna have to learn real soon, because eventually, as we've always, you know, been teaching, you understand, like these different doctrines and philosophies that our oppressor comes up with, it's just going to be pushed harder and harder on blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. Like, we thought that the LGBT spirit was pushed heavy on us during Obama. Like, in these end days, it's going to be pushed even harder, because our oppressor, he knows that if he can keep us sinning against the Lord, and if he can keep us as being the most disgusting bastards in this earth, he knows that the Lord will not be with us. And he knows that as long as he can keep this up, that his kingdom will be able to flourish, will be able to survive and continue to reign over this earth. Which, what he doesn't understand is that no matter what he does, he's not going to rule this earth forever. Like really, the Lord is really using his tactics, you understand, and his real spirit, you understand, the spirit of our oppressor. The Lord is really using his real spirit to cause blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians to gravitate, you know, away from what it is that he promotes. Because, you know, of course, there's all these different things that have come out of all the secretive things it is that our oppressor has done in order to destroy our people, of course, physically as well as spiritually. And it's really causing for Israel to, you know, start to turn their backs on America. And that's really what we need. Like, we really need our people to turn our backs on America, and we need to come together. You know, so the nation that isn't desired in this earth. Verse 18. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today? Verse 19. And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds. And you know, just to show that Moses was a so-called black man, you understand, like these 7 women, they mistook him for an Egyptian. And if you didn't know, the ancient Egyptians were dark. You understand? Like, they look like the Africans today, not the South Africans. You understand? Not the Arabs in Africa, but the original inhabitants of that land. You understand? Like the dark races out there, the real dark races. and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock. Verse 20. And he said unto his daughters, and where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread. Verse 21. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah, his daughter. 22. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. Verse 23. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried. You understand? So even with this disgusting Hamite dying, this king, this president, this official that ruled over the children of Israel and oppressed us to, just his heart's desire, you understand? Even after him passing, like, we were still being oppressed. Like really, something it is that we fail to do, of course, like many things as a people, is we fail to learn from history. And not just any history, but we fail to learn from our history. And of course, okay, if you want to say, well, we aren't the Israelites, so this doesn't pertain to us. Well, you can just look at the presidents that have ruled over us in America. You understand? And how it is that president after president has oppressed blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, and how president after president has not only oppressed the adults, but has oppressed the children, has gone out of their way in order to destroy our future generations. And not even, it's not even something that's accidentally done. Like, it's not like, it's not like a plan that went or someone had an ulterior motive that was high up in the government. Like, it's something that has been planned. Like, for instance, when you look at the crack epidemic, and you look at how it's destroyed black households, you understand? How not only did it destroy our fathers and mothers, but it also destroyed the babies as well, you understand? For the brothers and sisters that were born, with crack babies, or that was born with some kind of disease because their parents were using. Like, this is something that was known that was going to happen in our community. Like, the U.S. president knew it, his governing body knew it. Like, they all knew of the destruction it is that putting drugs in a community would cause. But yet, because it would help fund their nation, because it would help fund their nation and what it is that they needed, and help fund their wars, it was a risk that they were willing to take. Like, it was something that, let them tell it, yes, it was sad, but it was a necessary evil. And of course, like every president has destroyed our people, whether you want to call yourself black, Latino, or Native Indian. It doesn't matter what name it is that we go by. Like, none of the governors, the mayors, the police chiefs, the vice presidents, the president, Congress, like, none of them have ever built up or uplifted blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. Like the only time it is that we was able to get built up is if we built ourselves up. If we came together ourselves and didn't depend on another nation. Like that was the only time it is that we were able to make something of ourselves in these lands. Otherwise, any nation that could get in amongst us, or any nation that could get some kind of power, they would always make sure to bring us down. Always make sure to rob us of what little crumbs it is that we would have. And you know, it wasn't just our oppressor, you understand, because Obama, he was an African. It's like a Hamite, you know what I'm saying? He was a Hamite, and yet he pushed LGBT, you know, philosophies onto the Black, Latino, Native Indian communities, you understand, and further destroying us and making the pedophile problem it is that we have in our communities, making it, you know, just explode out of control. Like it was something that was already out of control, but with how that destructive lifestyle was pushed onto our people, like it just became something that was, I can't even say the norm, or yeah, the norm, because I mean, you was already hushed if you tried speaking up about how, you know, your Christian pastor touched you, or how your uncle touched you, or your aunt, or your cousin, you understand, your stepdad. Like that was already hushed in the black community, but now, you know, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like it's on Sodom and Gomorrah levels, or should I getting there? I can't say it's that bad, but it's getting to that point. And if you want any kind of protection out in the streets, you understand? And when I say that, I don't mean, you know, you out there dealing drugs or you know, being a whore or living your life as if you're in the world. I mean, just from you going and doing everyday things as it is that you know, so many of us do. Because of course, unlike what our oppressor promotes, like we're not all drug dealers, you know, we're not all pimps, murderers, thieves. Like we're not all what it is our oppressor paints us as. You understand? So if you want any kind of protection as you go about your everyday life, like you're gonna have to come into the I.S.U.P.K, and you're gonna have to change your life and live it how the Lord has told us to live it, and not how it is that our oppressor has promoted to us that we can live. That's the only way it is we'll get some kind of protection, some kind of safety, is if we come back to the Lord. And the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried. I'm saying, and no matter what it is that we do in this country, like we're always going to be in bondage. Like we're always going to be oppressed in the land of America. And not only in the land of America, but anywhere it is that we go on this earth, trying to seek a better life for ourselves and for our future generations. You understand? Just trying to get away from oppression. What we're going to do is just go to another place and get oppressed. Just like our oppressor oppresses us in America, like if you go over to Asia, then you know the Asians are going to be your oppressor. You go to Africa, then the Hamites are going to be your oppressor. If you go to the Middle East, then the Ishmaelites are going to be your oppressor. Like we can't run from the oppression it is that we face, and we can't change the minds of our oppressor thinking that we can make him love us. If that was the case, then I mean, shoot, we wouldn't be living in hell. You understand? Many of us wouldn't have to have that talk with our children about not talking back to a devil when he stops you, regardless of if he's a police officer or not. You know what I'm saying? He should be a regular Karen or a regular, the hell's a regular Tom, you understand? Like, it could just be a regular citizen, and they would choose to be a good Samaritan and look out for their community. They can do anything it is that they want to. You understand? Like, that's like that's really why it's so sad when you turn on the news and you have to see the atrocities that are being done to our people. You understand? To the Lord's chosen people, which you turn on today, it's like turn on the news any day of the week, and you'll see how it is that we're oppressed. You know, I mean, not too recently, I mean, there was a young man, what was that, like yesterday, 3 days ago? You understand? A young brother that was 16 years old, you understand, who was shot in the head by, well, they haven't released the race of the person that tried murdering this brother. You know what I'm saying? But we all already know, if they didn't release the, God damn it, the race, Salakia, if they didn't release the race of him, they ain't telling you his name or none of that. You already know it was a devil that tried murdering this brother. And not only that, but after this animal tried murdering this brother, in the news article, it lets you know that, you know, they went in, they arrested this animal, but yet they didn't hold him. You understand? It was either they held him for a day, or they didn't even hold him for a day, and then they released him. You understand? Because, you know, of course, he wasn't a flight risk. You know, they didn't have to worry about him being on the run or none of that. So we already know, you know, we already know who the people are that oppressed us, and who this individual is that tried murdering this brother, who survived the gunshots to the head, but, you know, you get shot in the head, like, you're never going to be the same. Like, your brain isn't going to work the same. Your motor functions are not going to be the same. You know, I can only imagine the PTSD from it. Like, really, this, you know, the young brother's life is ruined. Like he's just not going to be who he was before this vicious attack happened or took place. And that's the case for many of our people. Many of the attacks it is that we have survived in the land of America by the hands of just your average devil walking around living their life. Like, we're never the same. Whether we end up being buried in a casket or be put in a hospital, having to go through physical therapy, you understand, or having to go through, you know, just some form of recuperation from the experience it is that, you know, we just survived. Like, many brothers and sisters aren't the same. And that's just what we should expect while being under our oppressor. Like, we should expect to have just a nation of damaged individuals. You understand? Just a nation of damaged communities, of damaged youth, because we've been put through so much hell for the past 400 years. You understand? Like there has to be an end to it. There has to be a time where, you know, we're no longer oppressed. Like, we have to be free eventually. I mean, like, the brothers and sisters that's here in the school right now, are we really the only ones that want to be free? Are we really the only ones who are tired of the oppression it is that we have faced for so long? Are we really the only ones? You telling me no other Black, Latino, Native Indian is tired of what's being done to our people? And their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. You know what I'm saying? And from all this oppression it is that was being done to us, the Lord heard the cries of the children of Israel. So like, and in the I.S.U.P.K, the Lord hears the cries of the brothers and sisters in this school that are tired of oppression. Not just tired of oppression, but tired of our people being oppressed. You understand? The Lord, He hears that. And thank the Lord that it is prophesied in these scriptures of the salvation of our people, the salvation from the oppression it is that we've been under for so long. You know, you can't not hear what it is that this school teaches and not gravitate towards it. Like how could you be against the fact that we show you in the scriptures of how your children won't have to be oppressed? Like how it is that their children won't have to experience oppression and their children's children. You telling me that all the hell it is that we've lived in this earth and lived in these different lands, all this hell it is that we faced, and we want our children to go through that? Like we want our children to go through another, epidemic of drugs mysteriously popping up in our communities. Like we want our children to go through a phase where they're whores, you understand, and have to abort their babies, murder their children. Like we want our children to have to get a shot because of some petty beef it is that we have going on amongst the different communities. Like no other nation would want for their people to have to go through that. Would want for their children to have to go through that. But yet when it comes to the children of Israel, we're all for it. Because we just can't stand to recognize the fact that if we are to be free, then our oppressor will have to be destroyed. And say if we are to be free, then we can't just do whatever it is that we want. You know what I'm saying? We have to do what the Lord wants, what the Lord requires of us. And any other nation would jump at the opportunity to be the Lord's chosen people. You understand? Would jump on the opportunity to deliver their people from another nation if it meant that all they had to do is stop being disgusting. You don't think the Palestinians, if there was a book, you understand, a religious book that came out talking about how if the Palestinians stopped, worshiping rocks, or stop being pedophiles and drug dealers and drug addicts. You think if a book came out like that, saying how they would be delivered if they stopped doing all that, how their enemies would be slain before them, you don't think the Palestinians would change their lives overnight if it meant that the land of Israel would stop oppressing them? Like that's how any nation is. 24. And God heard their groaning And God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. 25. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. Exodus chapter 3 and verse 1. And the only way it is that we're going to really get any kind of respect from the Lord, any mercy, like, we have to change our lives as a people. We can't live how Christianity has told us to live anymore. Like, we can't, go out and live how the gods of other nations have told us to live anymore. Like that, none of that has helped us. None of it has built any strong community in the Black community or Latino or Native Indian community. None of it has gotten brothers and sisters off of drugs. None of it has stopped abortions. None of it has stopped the spread of LGBT lifestyle. Like, none of that has done anything positive in our communities. But the only thing that has done something to heal the hurt it is that we have suffered at the hands of these other nations is the I.S.U.P.K. and what it is that we teach in these scriptures right here. Nobody else does that. No other organization, no other school, none of that. But the I.S.U.P.K. under Commander GEN.YAHANNA, we heal the Black, Latino, and Native Indian community. You understand? And we make sure that whether you're old or young, you understand, we make sure that you understand that if you change your life and live it according to these scriptures, that you can change your nation. It starts at an individual basis. You understand? Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, and priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. Verse 2. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. So, with us being in the truth and actually knowing the breakdown that's in these scriptures right here, and so what verse 2 is describing is all right. So when a so-called UFO lets down, like in the movies when it depicts them, shooting down, what do they call that, a tractor beam or that light to abduct things. You understand? Like that's what this is. Like that's, and of course, when we're going to be reading in Exodus about the cloud that had the pillar of fire coming from the cloud going down to the earth, and how it's led the children of Israel. Just further proof to show that, this was a so-called UFO or IFO, or what we call them as chariots. But just to show, further proof that this was a chariot. Slovakia. And the reason it's saying the bush burned with fire, because, of course, back then, that's the only thing it is that they had is like a light source. You understand? Like that's the only thing it could be compared to is fire itself, because it would provide light. And it says, and the bush was not consumed. So, of course, if this was fire, actual fire on the bush, then it would have got burnt up. You understand? It would have burned away. It would have became nothing more than ash. But yet, this is letting you know that the bush wasn't burned away. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't turned into just a pile of ash and smoke. Which you'll of course you study in classes, you'll see all the different chariot scriptures it is that the Bible has. And when we get a little more in the Exodus, as the children of Israel leaving Egypt, you'll see how this is a chariot. Sending the scriptures of describing chariots, you understand, all that. Verse 3, and Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. Moses letting you know again that even though the bush looked like it was consumed by fire, it didn't burn away. In other words, it was consumed by light. Verse 4, and when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. So Moses heard a voice coming out of this light. And of course, you can make just from that description alone, you can make the comparison of UFOs, because the only thing today where there's that there's ever something that is always depicted as light coming out of the sky, a beam of light coming out of the sky, it's always depicted with that being attached to a UFO. You understand? Our oppressor, he knows exactly what those are. You understand? And in the I.S.U.P.K, we know exactly what they are, which are the chariots of the Lord. Verse 5, and he said, Draw not nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Verse 6, moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And like many scriptures in this book right here, like this is just one to show you that the God of Israel, or the God of the Bible, he's not everybody's God. Like he's not going to cause for the nations to go to war with one another for everybody. He's not going to put this spirit upon these heathen nations to drop nuclear bombs across this earth and to turn America into a pit of fire for everybody. You understand? Not everybody was chosen by the Lord. You understand? But what the Lord did do is he chose the forefathers of the children of Israel and chose the children of Israel. You understand? That's why he was specifically saying the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, to show you who it is, like the passing of the covenant. You understand? So it goes from father to son, from father to son, father to son. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. Verse 7. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. for I know their sorrows. You understand? And the Lord hears the cries of blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians in America today. You understand? The Lord sees the oppression it is that we face every day in this country, that we've been facing for over 400 years. You understand? Like, he sees all the secretive things it is that our oppressor does to bring us down. When our oppressor's police forces goes and dumps crates of guns in our community to so we wage a war against one another, or so that we get locked up for a dirty gun. You understand? Or when he pumps drugs into our communities, or when he promotes abortions, causing for sisters to murder their babies and to eventually get cancer from doing so. Like, the Lord hears all of these things it is that we go through as a nation. You understand? He even hears the cries of the brothers and sisters who have been molested in the Christian church. Even though those who brothers and sisters have turned to try to seek some kind of protection, you understand, with what it is they just went through, even though they tried to silence it and tell them that they better never talk about the pastor, or better never talk about the trauma it is, you understand, that they just survived. Even with all that hush hush going on, like, the Lord, he hears all that and he sees all of it. And because of what it is that we've been going through in these lands, the Lord is going to deliver us out of this hell. He's going to save blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, and nobody else. You understand? Nobody else needs saving except for us. It's lucky. Verse 8. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land and a large. You understand? And just like the Lord seemed fit to deliver us out of the hands of the Egyptians, because of the oppression it is that we was under while we was in that captivity, like, the Lord, he's going to see fit to bring us out of the hand of the Americans, out of the hand of Esau or Edom. All we have to do is get right as a people. You know what I'm saying? If we choose to get right, like, we can get out of this captivity faster. Like, it's going to happen eventually, but it can happen faster if we choose to really adhere to what's in these scriptures right here, and to really change ourselves. Unto a land flowing with milk and honey, the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Verse 9. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppress thee. And it's as simple as that. Just think of how it is that we've been oppressed in America, and the same thing was happening in the land of Egypt. Like, you can think of the police brutality that's going on in America. Guess what? It happened in Egypt. You can think of the different what is the technical term for that? I'm just gonna say that the economic oppression it is that we go through. You understand? The same thing happened in Egypt. The the same way it is that the government will secretly tell sisters that they can't get benefits if they have a husband, or if they don't put their husband on child support, that they won't get any benefits. The same thing was happening in Egypt. Like in Slovakia, like there have been just so many tools it is that our oppressor uses to oppress and destroy us that it's just impossible to name them all. You understand? It's impossible to count them all. It's just something that can't be done. But just like it's happening in America, it happened back then in Egypt. And with the Lord seeing how we went through all these different things at the hands of these Egyptians, and he seen fit to bring us out from under them and to destroy them for our sakes. The Lord is going to do the same thing for our sakes here in America. Like don't think just because America has gained such, and just because America has military bases all across this earth, they have nuclear weapons, they put billions of dollars into their military, they've made treaties with damn near everybody. You know, they have a multicultural population, you know, which I guess in our eyes means everybody's closer. I don't know where that's something it is that we think, but hey, we think that that's a powerful tool. But whatever your reasoning is, like don't think that America is going to rule this earth forever. Like don't think that because our oppressor has a 400-year head start on us, don't think that he's going to remain in power and that he's just going to continue to grow and grow and grow until he has to go out in space. You understand? Go over to Mars and go to the moon and build bases there and build treasured cities there off the backs of our people. You understand? And then he goes from there and he goes in and spreads throughout the Milky Way and populates other planets where he's, you know, the most powerful and the richest, and rules over other blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians all across the Milky Way. Like, don't think that that's going to be something that happens. Like, it's prophesied in these scriptures right here of the destruction of our oppressor. And it's also prophesied that the children of Israel will rule this earth after our oppressor falls. You understand? Like I've been saying the whole class, and like we've been saying since 1969, all we have to do is just get right as a nation. Like you get in these classes, you get you a sword or a Bible, get you a notebook, and you take you some notes. You understand? You go home, you study them, you ask your questions in class. Like, you learn everything it is that you have to in order for you to embody who it is that you're supposed to be. Like, we do that when it comes to, you know, these different holidays or religions. Like, we'll make sure that we're the best present rapper. You know, we'll make sure that we know how to make the flyest tree. You know, we have the best hiding spots for the eggs. We buy the best flowers and chocolates and teddy bears for our wives on Valentine's Day. We throw the best cookouts on the 4th of July. We honor the dead presidents of America that have fought for our freedom, which in our minds is all of them. You understand? Like we make sure that we are the best when it comes to serving our oppressor and when it comes to being who he wants us to be. When we have to make sure that we are doing our diligence and being the Lord's chosen people. Like, it's not something you can just, be, you can't be lukewarm in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be hot. You gotta be solid. You have to be able to come against any adversary that is going to question your heritage and who it is that you are. You got to be able to show your children who it is that they are. You understand? And who their people are and what their identity is. And the only way it is that we can do that is if we become zealots for the Lord. You understand? Like if we become zealots for our identity and our culture and our customs, our heritage. Like that's the only way we will be able to come against any adversary that comes against this truth. And it's the only way we'll be able to ensure that our future generations know who it is that they are. Verse 10. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. That's in America. The Lord is going to bring the children of Israel out of this captivity in America. And the brothers in the I.S.U.P.K, like, we're going to be the ones to lead our people, to show our people, like, show our people like how to change. You understand? Show our people how to leave behind all these different things it is America has taught us. Like just as Moses showed the children of Israel as we were leaving Egypt, you understand, how it is that we are to be Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Just like he showed us, I should say, he ensured that, we as a people that we kept the laws, statutes, and commandments. You know what I'm saying? He ensured that we knew our heritage, you understand, our culture and our customs. Slovakia. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up class. I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. Started out with 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. Book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10 means tenth in the Hebrew, Mayashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund. It's a free will offering for priests. It's not mandatory. You can give whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. I said the closing of the feast first fruits. I'll double check the day for you next class. But we'll be having the closing at 3532 North Keystone Avenue here in Indianapolis, Indiana. If you're Black, Latino, or Native Indian, you understand, as long as your father is Black, Latino, or Native Indian, you understand, you can come through, learn a little bit about your culture, you understand, and your heritage. Learn, come learn what it is that the Christian church has refused to teach our people for hundreds of years. You understand? Bring some food, bring some drinks. If you can't afford to bring anything, then just come through and experience the brotherhood and sisterhood that you'll only find in the I.S.U.P.K. It isn't something that you can find anywhere else. You understand? That's one of the many things that makes us so unique in this earth. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or a war scarf. That said, I imagine, which means to stand. When you're done, turn and face the east. This is the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawu, Shabashamayim, Quadash, I.S.U.P.K, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'a, Ratazayaka, I.S.U.P.K, Ba'arataza, Kawo, I.S.U.P.K, Bashamayim, Nathan, Lanawa, Lakam, Call, Yawam, Wasalakanawa, Kwabawat Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kwabawat Yanawa, Wala'a, Kawayayanawa, Bonasayawan, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Wataparat, La'amyam, Aman. This is the Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Pray for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatha Yahweh, wa Yahweh Shai, Wam Yaka Allah, wa Alahayim, Matazabya, Alawap Yahanna, Ha Alawapyum, Hazaranyum, Ha Quatazayanyum, Ha Kayayayum, Wa Quathian, Yahweh, Ba Shim Yahushai, the water Aman. Pray for the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Jehovah and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahanna, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua, thank you, so be it. Sorry, which means a turn. Salute to the brothers watching online, men of Israel, Imadium Shabbat, Imadium Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakathon, Yahumatah. Salute to the sisters watching online. Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim Barak, Yahweh Shamar Al Thamba Hashem Yahweh Shai, Yadumatah. Class dismissed.